The Arizona economy, just how good is it going to get? We talked to the head of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce this week. Welcome to the Mike Broomhead Show.
Well, I got a message, I got a song. Can I get a witness? Tell me what's going on. I show the people I've been away.
Great interview with Glenn Hammer. He's the CEO of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce. You're going to learn a lot about what's to come, about education funding, K through 12, technical training. All of that's coming up. Broomhead's Best and hashtag this. But of course, we start every show off with the sweep. Well, we got to talk elections, don't we? Donald Trump wins the primaries. He wins both Nebraska and West Virginia. Big wins there. He has a meeting with Paul Ryan about unifying the Republican Party. So here's the deal. The big issue was Paul Ryan, who was, of course, the Speaker of the House, said he was not ready to endorse Donald Trump. And, of course, the big civil war in the Republican Party. What are they going to do? And it was such a big deal about nothing. Well, they met for 45 minutes on Thursday. Paul Ryan was very subdued before they met, but very animated after the meeting. Watch just a little bit of this.
The question is, what is it that we need to do to unify the Republican Party and all strains of conservative wings in the party? We had a very good and encouraging, productive conversation on just how to do that.
What I found most compelling about the press conference was one of the reporters asked him toward the end of the press conference about all of the voters that Donald Trump has attracted to the Republican Party. And instead of talking in party line terms about things, Paul Ryan was very candid, and he gave Donald Trump a lot of credit. And he said Donald Trump has gotten more votes than any other Republican candidate ever in a primary, and we haven't even gotten to California yet. And then he went on to talk about how we are being inclusive and everybody involved in the core principles of the party, but at the same time include everyone. I was really encouraged by what Paul Ryan had to say. Let's see if Donald Trump can continue to sound and be presidential, and if the party establishment will come along and see if Donald Trump doesn't beat Hillary Clinton this November. It's going to be a big hill to climb, but this is one step getting in that direction. The other thing that has been talked about are possibilities of a candidate or a running mate for vice president. Donald Trump said he loves the suspense. Suspense is a big part of it. He's not going to say, but he has narrowed it down to 5 or 6 people that he will probably announce before the convention. Names in there like Chris Christie and well, we know Marco Rubio said absolutely not. He has no desire to even be considered. But what about John Kasich? What about names like that? We'll see. That's coming up. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, loses West Virginia to Bernie Sanders. Now, she loses, but she wins. Now, Bernie Sanders got 51%. So you would think, well, that's not a big win. Hillary must have gotten 49. No, she only got 38% of the vote in West Virginia. She got trounced, but Bernie only gained 5 delegates. She still picked up a bunch. She has all of these superdelegate votes, but I want you to see a little bit of Hillary Clinton. You want to know why this election is so important? Watch this short video clip of something Hillary said at a campaign stop in Kentucky about Donald Trump.
Because at a time when families are struggling to pay for child care and so much else, Donald Trump actually stood on a debate stage and argued that Americans are being paid too much, not too little. He's even talking about getting rid of the federal minimum wage, leaving it totally to the states, to the mercy of Republican governors who've already cut the minimum wage for state workers.
All right, cutting the minimum wage for state workers. First of all, there's a federal minimum wage. So governors can't cut the minimum wage for state workers. Wait a minute. Yeah, they can. She's talking about the damage that Republican governors have done to the union strongholds that have bankrupted cities like Detroit, Michigan, and what happened in Wisconsin where they broke the union stronghold there. This is the problem with American politics. Hillary Clinton didn't lie in that soundbite. For once, she didn't lie about something, but what she did was just skew it enough. The fact of the matter is, you look at what government workers earn in this country, and you compare that to the median wage of non-government workers. That's where the battle lines are. Hillary Clinton is losing everywhere. She lost in West Virginia because she is a part of what the Obama administration said they're going to get rid of all of these coal jobs. The workers and families that had coal workers didn't want anything to do with Hillary Clinton. That's why the Democrat voters in West Virginia gave the victory to Bernie Sanders. I want you to watch a little bit of Bernie Sanders in his victory speech in West Virginia. Here it is.
With our victory tonight in West Virginia, we have now won primaries and caucuses in 19 states. And let me be as clear as I can be. We are in this campaign to win the Democratic nomination.
So where is all of the dissension and the civil war in the Democratic Party? There's somebody way behind in the numbers. I mean, when it comes to the delegates, he's way behind. When you add in the superdelegates, Hillary's almost got it locked up. He says he's not going anywhere. Where's the media talking about the civil war within the Democratic Party? Because Bernie Sanders is a socialist. Bernie Sanders' tax plan, by his own admission, will add $18 trillion to the national debt. It's going to raise taxes on families, making as little as $40,000 a year. He has told people to their faces their taxes are going up. That's what this election is all about. Speaking of elections, the special election. Prop 123. It's going to happen on Tuesday. We have a great conversation with Glenn Hammer in a few minutes about that. But the errors of the pamphlets that went out. There were supposed to be pamphlets mailed to early voters all over the state of Arizona. They only went out to the families in Maricopa and Pima counties. So early voters with more than one voter in the household, some 400,000 voters plus, didn't get the pamphlets in time. Was it enough to delay the election? Secretary of State Reagan says she's not going to cancel the election. Here's the thing. Those voters did get the pamphlets. They didn't get them early enough according to what the regulations say, but they got them, and it has always been available online. If you're that concerned about Prop 123, people looked it up. This is an attempt by opponents of 123 to get the election delayed because chances are they're not going to win. Prop 123 is probably going to pass. Lastly, the United States Army is at its smallest since 1940. Just under 480,000 right now. By September, that's going to go down to 475,000 soldiers. Do you really think that we're at a time in this world where we should be shrinking the military and the Army to its smallest size since 1940? This is where elections have consequences. What should we be doing with our military? All right, in just a few moments, Glenn Hammer, who is the CEO and president of the Arizona Chambers of Commerce, joins me to talk about what this legislative session means to everyone. So it doesn't matter if you live in a big city or one of the rural parts of the state, what's been happening matters to you. So we want you to make sure you stick around for that. And by the way, follow us on all of the social media platforms. We love the interaction. We'll be back in a moment. Big topic on the show is always the economy, and the local economy first. The big national elections are going to get all the attention, but what happens here matters most. So joining us once again, the CEO and president of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Glenn Hammer.
Great to be back on the show, Mike.
Let me ask you about the legislature. In session, what kind of a grade do you give them on what they've done? Is it helpful to business in Arizona?
It was a great session. I give them an A. It started out in a very strong fashion by restoring career and technical education funding. They put $30 million back into the system. It was one of the first actions of the legislature. And it ended very strong with a budget that provides additional funding for K through 12, provides over $30 million of new funding for our universities. And on the healthcare side, reinstated kids care. This was a very strong session. And we also made some progress on tax reform as well.
You and I have talked before about education and how big it's going to be for Arizona to entice business here. The technical education for the people that aren't necessarily going to go to college is something we've talked about on the show and off the air, because for me, that's a gap that I fit into. Where I became an electrician, I didn't go to college. Had it not been for the training that I had gotten, I would have never had the career that I did. And there's a lot of people that fit into that category. How are we doing in Arizona for that segment of our society?
I am so proud of what that area is doing, the career and technical education area, the JTEDs. These kids, Mike, have a 98% graduation rate. 98%. The state average is probably about 74, 75%. A lot of these kids are graduating with certificates. A lot of these kids are ready for the workforce, or they're ready to go to community college, or the university. We should be very proud as a state for the performance of our career and technical education, and it's innovative. For example, Phoenix Union now has a coding academy. I mean, we're going to have 17, 18-year-olds making 100 grand probably in high school.
Wow, is that true?
Well, I'm guessing that some of the really the most talented kids are going to have a chance to make a lot of money. I mean, there's
right.
a lot of, you know, I'm not saying every kid will make that amount of cash, but the bottom line is those kids who go through those types of programs, they're going to have great opportunities.
It's an education. For me, it was in the trades as an electrician, and there was, and I know that this is going to sound sexist, but the girls that would go and learn to go to school, beautician school, where it's 1,000 hours to cut hair or become a cosmetologist in Arizona. If you can do that and get your high school diploma, you're ready for the workforce, and you've got a really big skill that's necessary.
Mike, we need to respect all work. And when you talk about, you know, some people will try to poo-poo different career and technical tracks. I find that really offensive. The woman who cuts my hair, sometimes it's more difficult to get an appointment with her than with leading statewide elected officials. She's helping to support 4 kids. She has multiple businesses. She's a small business person who's been very successful. So whether it's cutting hair, whether it's coding, whether it's welding, you name it, we want to provide pathways so our education system is meeting the needs of the workforce as well as the needs of the interests of students.
And see, I've said this for a while. I was very encouraged at lunch one day when we were talking. We got into this talk about working, and you were so passionate about somebody that's working deserves the respect for earning a paycheck. And you know, you think about the Chamber of Commerce, for most people, they think of bigger businesses and industry and not the people that are just working for a living. But to hear you say that about them was so encouraging to me. What do we do to make sure that those people are provided this training, but also to make sure those jobs are available to them too? What do we need to do better?
Well, a few things. We have to continue to put resources into career and technical education. Those programs are among the very best of our entire educational system. Some in the past there has been a stigma. I'm proud to say I believe that is completely gone. I mean, our entire legislature, every single member of the legislature voted to put money into career and technical education. Governor Ducey spoke very eloquently about the importance of career and technical education at different CTE-type conferences. But the other thing is on the policy side, let's vote down any sort of union-backed, and I'm going to say union-backed, efforts to raise the minimum wage to $12 or $15. That kills opportunities. I make more than minimum wage now, so do you. But I started as the assistant bun guy at Burger King, and I was probably overpaid at a dime above the minimum wage. But it was my first opportunity in the workforce.
And that's where we can raise the minimum wage and falsely prop that up, or we can create competition by creating jobs and allowing that competition to fund really qualified people and let them climb up the ladder organically and do it the right way.
Absolutely. And this, the great thing about the United States of America, if you work hard and you play by the rules, you're going to climb the ladder. There sometimes will be, you may fall down a step or two, we all have, but you're going to have the opportunity to realize the American dream. And by some of these well-intentioned policies, like dramatically increasing the minimum wage, you're cutting off the first step on the ladder for many young Americans.
When we get back, we got to take a quick break. When we get back, ask about Prop 123 and the other side of this, the K through 12 education, getting that money in the classroom. We'll talk about that part of it and find out what's going to happen next, because no matter where you are in the state of Arizona, what this legislative session did is going to affect you. So we'll be back in a moment. All right, we are with Glenn Hammer. He's the president and CEO of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, and we talked about technical education. But now, until we get to that point, K through 12, the fight over money, Prop 123, does the chamber have an opinion on Prop 123? A lot of questions about it.
Mike, we have a strong opinion. We strongly support Prop 123, and it's very, very important on Tuesday for voters to go out and vote yes on Prop 123. It's $3.5 billion of new money into our K-12 system over a decade without raising taxes.
Now, see, I looked at this, and I always try to look at both sides, even if I fall on one or the other. I don't understand the criticism, what the critics are upset about. And I don't understand why this isn't a good plan in everyone's eyes. So many teachers are in favor of this. Right. The critics are saying, well, they're being bribed by these pay raises. No. I don't think so. I think they're starting to see this as a way to get the dollars there that are so necessary for K through 12.
Well, I want to say the entire education community is behind this. Teachers, you name it, superintendents, school boards, charters, traditional schools. Our teachers need a raise. We have a problem in this state in terms of retaining teachers. I am if this were to fail, our teachers, many of whom have not received a raise for 6 or 7 years, would continue down a path of low incomes. It's not right. We need voters to vote yes on Prop 123.
And when you look at the ability to put this money from the state land trust and not raise taxes, it seems to me to be a no-brainer. But I don't even know that there could be is there a plan B?
Well, there's no plan B, and this is a great plan A. And I would just urge viewers to Google Senator John Kyle and Bob Robb for their columns on Prop 123. Senator Kyle's piece a few days ago was spot on in terms of the importance of this. So the real financing mechanism here, in addition to the general fund, is making smarter use of our state trust land. Mike, we have about $5 billion in that. Is it better used putting it into our kids today, or just allowing it to accumulate without any sort of reasonable payout? I mean, just hoarding the cash while our kids suffer today and teachers don't get paid. I'm just going to say it would be a big mistake if people thought that there was some magic plan B. It's plan A or bust, I believe.
And for people that don't understand how businesses are attracted, there's a lot of states that are always looking to industry to try to get them to relocate or start their businesses here. And working with the governor, and when there's opportunities like the Waste Management Open or the Super Bowl that's here to have these CEOs in town, but also with the Chamber of Commerce to go to industries and say to them, this is what we're doing now, so that in 10 years you're going to have that educated workforce.
Well, I can say this, Mike. I can guarantee pretty much any business, an A school, whether it's a traditional public school or a career and technical education, but it's not uniform. And what we need to do is make sure that we have every kid having that opportunity for that A education. And while we are climbing the rankings, here's the good news. We have a great system because we've had past reformers like Lisa Graham-Keegan. As we're climbing the national rankings, we need to make sure that we have the resources to accelerate kids getting into the best possible schools. And Prop 123 is the best way to do that.
All right, so let's shift for a moment, opportunity. I was able to start my business when I was a contractor, and basically was me, it's a box of tools in a truck. I'm worried about my grandkids having that ability, that if you have the drive and the desire, that the opportunity may not be there. From a chamber perspective, are we doing a good job with that in Arizona, and what do we need to do to ensure that those strong-willed, not adventurous, but that are looking forward to doing something, we can be there for them?
Well, one of the neat things is having a pro-business governor that understands business, and Governor Ducey. I mean, you've got, because of his leadership, you have 1,400 Cold Stone creameries in every state and 30 or so countries around the world. One of the things he's been doing a really good job of is making sure that our laws take into account the new sharing economy. People are making a buck in a different way. This has got to be the friendliest state for Uber. He just did something to make sure that the sharing economy, he's been active in making sure our craft breweries can expand, to make sure our laws reflect what's going on in terms of homeowners sharing their space to live. And you take a look at what does this really mean in our national rankings. We're now top 6 state from Chief Executive Officer magazine. Forbes has us as the absolute best state in the country in terms of future planned job growth. So, Mike, I'm proud to say we're really moving up the national rankings that a lot of businesses look at.
And I think that people have a kind of a different view of the Chamber of Commerce. They're not quite sure what you do other than for big businesses. But the fact is, you're working with the legislature in what the business community needs to grow. And so to hear you say that they're doing a good job is encouraging to me, because I'm going to have my grandkids entering the workforce in 10 or 15 years. I want to make sure that there's something here for them to grow with.
And we work, it's vitally important for the small businesses of Arizona to grow and to expand. And we have a very strong representation among our board when it comes to small business organizations and small businesses across the state. We've got great partnerships with chambers such as the Flagstaff Chamber, Tucson Hispanic Chamber. We're very proud that the Arizona Hispanic Chamber is on our board. So making sure that our policies are attractive for small businesses is vitally important.
Well, I appreciate the update. I wanted to get your perspective on the legislative session, because I think that our economy, people vote with their wallets, and so looking forward to November. It's good to know that we're on the right path. So we appreciate you stopping by.
We'll be happy if voters pass Prop 123 on Tuesday. It'll wrap this session up with a nice bow tie.
I was already a proponent of it, but if you say yes, I think that it's even better. So thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mike.
Glenn Hammer, we'll be back. All right, it's always something we love, and it's something Arizona. We call it Broomhead's Best. The Beer World Cup in Philadelphia. 3 Arizona breweries doing us proud. Lumberyard Brewing in Flagstaff, for their Knotty Pine Pale Ale, they win a bronze medal. And our friends at Santan Brewing Company, Mr. Pineapple, wins a silver medal. And of course, our great friends at Four Peaks Brewery, winning a gold medal for the best Scottish ale ever, and we know it's called Kilt Lifter. So congratulations to all 3 Arizona craft brews. They've done a great job, as always. You know how I feel about Kilt Lifter and Four Peaks. Congratulations to all of them. You are this week's Broomhead's Best. And now it's something burning up the internet. It's called #this. This week, it's #WeAreInvictus. It's the Invictus Games. It's the Paralympic-style multi-sport competition for wounded warriors. Now, Prince Harry created this back in 2014. The purpose is to inspire recovery, support, rehabilitation, and to demonstrate life beyond disability. These are the men and women that defended our country and came home wounded. And they go on not only to say they are still living, but they are still excelling. The same spirit that makes them great warriors is what makes them great in this event as well, great citizens. That's why they're Americans' best is brightest. They not only go to defend their country, they come home, they don't ask for anything. Beyond that, they take the challenges now that they could come home with and gone even further in life sometimes than they did before. It's terrific. That's why it's this week's #this. I hope that you watch it. It's go and see it online. It's terrific. All right, coming up in a moment, could Glendale lose the Final Four, and why? It's something you need to hear, so stick around. We'll be back in a moment. So a story came out this week. The NCAA has some new regulations, and what they're saying is any host city of any NCAA event has to provide proof of how they are going to create a safe space and be inclusive to everyone. So the Final Four is in Glendale. When it comes to the LGBT community, it is one of the lowest ranked cities in the state of Arizona. Phoenix has a 100 out of 100 rating, so does Tucson. Glendale's much lower, but it's not because they've done anything negative. It's because they haven't been proactive in creating protective laws. Could the NCAA force Glendale to do something or lose the Final Four? I highly doubt it. My problem is when they are taking their agenda and they're using the economy to change what cities are doing. Glendale's a fine city. We've made fun of some stuff about the NBA or about the NHL, but the fact is it's a good city, and the Final Four should remain and will remain at University of Phoenix Stadium. They are an inclusive place. They are not against anyone. I just think it's a shame that cities get a bad reputation because they don't jump through hoops for a small group of people. It should never be that way. Let college sports be college sports, and it should be in Glendale. That's where we want to see the Final Four. Thanks for being here this week. We'll be back next Saturday. Have a great week, everyone. God bless.
Get more of Mike Broomhead on Facebook, Twitter, and of course weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on News Talk 550 KFYI.